Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Susan Ratliff. I'm a pediatrician here at Pediatric Partners, and I wanted to take a few minutes to chat with you all about reading to your kids. As those of you that have sort of grown your kids have grown up through our office, you probably have remember getting those books at well visits through the Top TAM Turn a Page, Touch a Mind program through the Academy of Pediatrics. And that is a great program that we are so lucky to be able to participate in. And I wanted to take a few minutes to, number one, remind you of the benefits of reading and hopefully give you some ideas to develop a love of reading in your kids, which is so important for their future success. And I wanted to give some examples of books that we will often give out at those well visits and talk a little bit about how you might use those. I think one of the best gifts that we can give to our kids is the love of reading. And there are some things that we can do as parents to try and instill that love of reading to our kids. And the biggest one is to just start reading to them early. So, even your newborns, start talking to them and reading to them. It doesn't really matter what you read to your newborn. But if you're reading an article or reading something interesting, read to them. Just read it in an interesting way that might appeal to kids. And so I want to talk a little bit about that and the benefits of that. So, as most of us know, reading is so important for school and for life, really. And so, trying to get kids to practice that reading skill is something that can sometimes be challenging if you haven't started early. And so, I'm going to really focus a lot on how we can start that practice with your babies, with your toddlers, and hopefully that will continue for them as they get to school and beyond. So just in case you're not convinced that reading is important for kids' development, I have a few facts to share with you. First of all, we know that reading improves school readiness. So I always tell parents when I give them those books at the baby visits is reading is one of the best things that you can do to help prepare them for school, even as they're infants. And so you think, really, I'm worried about trying to get my baby to sleep through the night. I don't need to be thinking about kindergarten. But as you're reading to them, that is helping them prepare for things like kindergarten. Reading increases the development of the parts of the brain that are associated with learning to read, and with higher function. So you're actually going to help your child be smarter by reading to them as infants and toddlers and beyond. It helps with their vocabulary. So we always talk about reading and speech development. The more words that a child hears, the quicker and better their speech development will be. So read to them often, read to them a lot, and read a lot of different things to them. They need to hear a lot of different words. It instills a love of reading, like we talked about. So, as babies and toddlers, reading becomes a time that it's quality time with mom or dad. They can sit down and snuggle up on the couch or snuggle up in bed and read a book, and they usually have our undivided attention as parents, and we can really develop those relationships with our kids. During the baby and toddler years, there's such rapid brain development. Reading really helps progress that and helps support that. So the way reading is to speech development, how tummy time is to gross motor development. I tell everybody, oh, tummy time is the best thing you can do, tummy time and reading, and those things are going to really, really increase your child's development. So we start our book program at 6 months of age, and we give a book to every baby and child from 6 months up until 5 years. Now, the books that you're going to get are going to be different, and we're going to try as providers to give you books that are developmentally appropriate. And so hopefully you find this helpful as you're getting the books from us, but also as you're trying to think about checking books out from the library for your child, for example, or purchase books for your child. Things to think about. So this book is one of my favorites. This one is called Colors. It is a bright baby book, and it is really simple. I mean, you can see it just has actual photographs and words. So I like this book because it is really simple. Babies are drawn to it because of the actual photographs. And so if you are choosing books for your really little babies, books that are actual photographs are a good choice, or those are ones to start reading to them. And as you're reading this, you can read it very simply, and you can just read the pictures and tell them what the picture is, fine. But you can also do a little bit more with it. You can talk about the colors. Oh, this is a green leaf. Look at that, talk about things like that. Or you can make up a story about the pictures that you're seeing. And try, and as they grow, you can encourage them to do that. Oh, I see a duck. What do you think that duck is doing? And use it that way. Now, the other kind of books that we will often give at those early visits in the TAP TAM program, in the 6 to 9 month visits, are the books that have pictures of babies. And if anybody has put their baby up to a mirror, you know that babies love looking at themselves and they love to look at other babies. So getting books that have pictures of babies is a really good idea. Or you can even start doing books, making your own little books of pictures of family and friends that maybe they don't see all the time. And so they're looking at those close-up photographs of people, and you can talk about grandma and how much she loves the baby and how she really wants to see her once COVID is done. So those are kind of the baby type books. Now, as they get a little bit older, books that have sort of rhymes, books that have kind of a rhythm, and books that they can learn the predictability of are really good. So I love these books, any of these books by Sandra Boynton. We'll talk a little bit later about having a consistent going to bed routine, but this was always in my kids' going to bed routine. This book was, and this was sort of what we read at the end of our book reading time. So that was to sort of remind them that, okay, this is our last book, and after this we're going to go to bed. And so getting something like that is part of your normal routine will definitely help with that. These books we have in our office currently, in both offices currently, and these are those indestructible books. And I love them for a lot of reasons. First of all, they are very simple. They have just, most of them have just pictures like this, but they really are indestructible. So babies can explore with them. They can practice fine motor by your toddlers can practice fine motor by trying to turn the pages. They can, you can read different things. You can talk about not just what the pictures are, but what, here's a picture of the garden. This is what we do in the garden and that sort of thing. So those are really nice for that. The other thing that I love about these is it is great to just stick into your diaper bag. So, you don't have to have a lot of these heavy board books that you take with you to try and keep your kid occupied. You can have one of these really lightweight books, one of these lightweight books to give to them if you are in the car or waiting at our office or something like that. The other kind of books that toddlers and kind of the young toddlers really like are these books that they can open. So kind of these interactive books. So we have some books in our office that they can touch, that have different textures on it. And then we have several of these that they can kind of open, but the flaps are still made of that cardboard, so they're not going to hopefully destroy them quite as easily. And destroying books is part of the deal. I mean, they're exploring, they're playing with it. You are going to probably go through some books, so don't stress about that. As your young kids, the little ones get a little bit older, the older toddlers really like books with rhymes and books with rhythms. And I think that Dr. Seuss books are the perfect books for that. So we have several Dr. Seuss books that we give out in our office. And in a couple of weeks, we're going to be celebrating Dr. Seuss Week. And we'll have more Dr. Seuss books in our office and some celebrations for that. And so having some of those familiar Dr. Seuss books, I think, are good. As your babies get a little bit older, I think that books that have more of a, books that can be silly and books they can laugh about, I think those are a good thing to do with your toddlers. And then as they get a little bit older and they're they're learning more things and they're interested in more things, I think that books that have good lessons in them are good. So, how do dinosaurs eat their food? So learn about how, we can talk about healthy eating and what's appropriate at the dinner table and that sort of thing. And then the books like Bear Feels Scared you can talk about feelings and talk about what makes your child scared and what Bear does when he's scared, and talk about what your child does when they're scared. Books like Pete the Cat are really fun, just to they usually have a good lesson and to talk about, but also Pete the Cat is a very popular character among the little ones. And then again, continuing that bedtime routine with books like Good Night Construction Site, or some of those other good night books are really good for toddlers to sort of transition to bedtime and kind of move through that. And so I think that the biggest thing to remember is, number one, just read with your kids as much as you can. Try for a goal of about 15 minutes a day, but if you can do more, then great. But make your time reading with your kids more than just reading the words. We all are busy, we all have a lot going on, but to be able to take that 15 minutes and sit down and not only read the words to them, but have a conversation with them about, developmentally appropriately, of course, maybe about their day or about what their goals are, then that is a really good idea too. So hopefully this helps. If you have questions about the books or how you can best read with your kids, please let us know, or talk to your provider at your next upcoming appointment, and we will talk